Give it a minute or two here before we get going with Scott from Imagine AI. Let a couple stragglers find their way in. You can admire our baldness right now.
Oh, that's like epic baldness right now. That's so
Yeah.
good.
Put a little dusting on my head so that I don't have too much shine from my camera. I didn't do that. I'm totally lying.
Hey, so do you lotion your bald head every day?
Only when I shave.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Me too. Okay. Glad I'm not alone.
Yeah. No, my razor died the other day. I had to use a disposable one, and I was like cutting my head up left and right. It was the worst.
Ah.
So shout out to Harry's or Henry's or whatever it's called. And anyway, let's dive in. So today, guys, we're
Yeah.
joined by Scott from Imagine AI. He is the community development and content creator extraordinaire guy. If you ever have questions on Facebook about Imagine AI and you're in their group and you ask, it's probably going to be Scott that answers them,
Hmm.
or one of their other wonderful users who love evangelizing about the platform and the editing and all that. So today we wanted to just take some time to discuss why using AI products can be revolutionary for your brands, how it can help you grow, save time. So, kind of, Scott, explain a little bit about what Imagine AI does and then some of the key points for it.
Yeah, so Imagine AI is a SaaS platform. So there's a desktop app that you install on your computer, and what it does is it actually will allow you to upload your Lightroom catalogs and in turn, small versions of your raw files as well, so we can learn how you edit in Lightroom from start to finish. And we basically create what we call AI profiles that are a profile of how you edit so that we can then edit like you in the future. That's the long and short of it. Basically, it's like a human outsourced editor would do, except it's AI. So it's extremely fast, extremely affordable, um, and very, very, very accurate because it actually removes the emotional part of the process that a human editor would have emotion still when they look at your photos. So it removes that, ensuring that every photo is edited consistently, just like you would do.
Yeah. So compare and contrast a little bit with like a preset that somebody might buy.
Yeah,
You know. Yeah.
sure. So the way I like to explain the difference is Lightroom presets are basically a blanket of settings. These are a bunch of settings that you are specifying that you want Lightroom to add to 1,000 photos at once, right?
Mhm.
So let's say this preset is, plus 30 in contrast, uh, high, strong tone curve. HSL is going a certain way with the colors and so on and so on. That Lightroom preset is going to do that to 100% of those photos in the same exact way, whether they're underexposed or overexposed, meaning the end result is still going to have underexposed and overexposed, potential color shifting, and all this other stuff going on. So that's what a Lightroom preset would do. It's just blanket settings that do specific tasks to whatever photos that you want it applied to.
Mhm.
What an AI profile does from Imagine is it will apply the way that you want your photos to be edited, but on a per image basis. So if an image is too dark, it'll brighten it up to
Mhm.
match all the rest. If it's too bright, it'll darken it to match all the rest. If the white balance change for some reason, it will adjust to make it all match the same.
Okay.
And so, yeah, if we have time, I can even later demonstrate. I've got a really good collection that shows exactly like proof of this whole
Yeah.
thing. So if we have time, I could even show that. But yeah, that's basically the main differences.
So can it understand like intent of an image? Like if I'm taking a silhouette shot, can it understand that like instead of bringing up the shadows, I actually want to drop them a little bit?
So yes and no. If you do that on a regular basis, and a lot of your profile, a lot of the edits that you supplied to teach your profile are in that style, yes, it will understand that that's what you're trying to do.
Hmm.
But right now, um, it's basically just learning, from a large batch of, I mean, it's 5,000 photos or more. So if you were to do a silhouette, it would have to be a good chunk, like four out of the 5,000 would have to be silhouettes in
Hmm.
that style for it to really know, okay, I want to always edit like this. But if you have one silhouette in the mix of regular, you know, lit photos, it's
Hmm.
not going to really know, this is a silhouette, so this is how I want it to be. It'll actually try to adjust it, but it won't adjust it in a way where it's just completely unflattering. It might just bump it up so it's not as much of a silhouette as it would have been otherwise. So there are going to be those cases where you might have to go back and fine tune just that one,
Right.
back in Lightroom. And again, these are all in Lightroom, so it's all non destructive. You can always adjust the photos that we've edited for you after the fact.
Yeah. So we'll dive into like the specifics of how it works in a sec, but
Mhm.
um, just talk through some of the advantages of switching over from editing everything in Lightroom by yourself or outsourcing it to an editor, and why
Mhm.
Imagine AI may be a better option for some people.
Sure. So if you have been using a human outsourced editor or an in-house editor, then you already probably have a wide range of edits from previous jobs, weddings, whatever photos you do, that are all very consistent. Hopefully, they're all very
Right.
consistent in an editing style. And if that's the case, it's a very quick process to transition into Imagine because you already have all these photos that you could work with, to build your own profile. If you don't, then the transition process is a little bit trickier because you now either need to build your own collection of edits, which you would need 5,000 or more, or you could actually use what we call talent AI profiles, which are built-in profiles that we have worked with photographers like Charmy Pena and Susan Stripling, John Branch, and there's so many that we have
Yeah.
working with. I think there's 10 right now. Um, and onboarding into that is very easy because you need no previous edits at all. It's literally just open the app, submit a catalog of photos you want edited and send it off. But the cool part is that if you don't already have edits, and you start with a talent profile, you can actually use a talent profile to build your own profile. So, for example, let's say you like, um, Susan Stripling's profile
Hmm.
that we have in our system, and it's a very natural edit. It's a very natural edit, but it's a little bit on the warm side. Let's say you like it to be a tiny bit cooler. So you could actually edit 5,000 photos. So let's say you did a wedding, two weddings. You now have way more than 5,000 photos and two weddings.
Hmm.
Um, you could send those two weddings to edit 100% of them with Susan's profile, get him back, do your slight tinting, cool it up a little bit to your taste if that's all
Right.
you want to do, and batch apply that to all 10,000 photos. So that way, in like an instant, you've now edited all your photos without having to do much work, and you've now cooled them all down just a hair without doing much work. Now you can actually teach your profile based on your preference, which Susan's profile was your starting point.
Yeah.
So, um, so yeah, there's multiple ways to get started. There's multiple transition opportunities and methods, um, depending on everybody's case is different. Everyone's situation is different.
Yeah. So if I'm using a master catalog, it's easy. I can go in through all of my final edits, export
Hmm.
at least 5,000, but preferably a year's worth or whatever. Make a profile out of that. That's ideal. If I use an
Yep.
individual catalog for every job, I may have to create a new catalog and import all of those other catalogs, create a catalog, and then export that.
Hmm.
Okay, so that's a little more
Yeah,
time
yeah,
consuming, but that's kind
yeah.
of the downfall of using lots of catalogs, I guess.
So you could either create one catalog if you have multiple. You could create one catalog, or the app actually allows you to add multiple catalogs
Oh.
when you're building your profile. So you could do with it whatever approach you want. We made it so that the workflow can work with your workflow.
Hmm.
We don't want to interrupt what you're doing. We want to simplify what you're doing. So uh, however you work, we'll work with you basically.
Yeah. Yeah. So All right. So let's say there's some people watching that are like, I have my go-to editor and I pay them 35 cents an image and I'm
Mhm.
pretty happy with everything. Sell them on why having a computer do it for them may be a
Right.
better option.
So the one point I already mentioned is it removes the emotional human emotions out of the picture. It completely takes it out because that when you have a human doing it, yes, they can do a fantastic job. I mean, it's been proven there's some amazing human editing companies out there,
Mm-hmm.
but um, you know that does play a big role in consistency. Um, then there's the price. So you just mentioned, let's say 35 cents, which is actually still on the low side for a human editor.
Is it really?
Um, yeah, yeah. Some of the human editors are up there pretty high, um, or they have very high monthly fees for unlimited, let's say, unlimited photo editing. Where let's say we're going with a 35-cent model, and let's say that the turnaround time is 2 to 3 weeks for your photos to come back, right? Which now impacts when you can deliver those photos to your clients. So imagine costs 5 cents per photo straight. That's it, 5 cents a photo. And if you do cropping or straightening, that's 1 cent a photo each. But that's not a required. That's an optional add-on.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's a very, very fast turnaround time. So imagine it can edit 1,000 photos in 20 minutes or less. So um, in the past, the way it has worked is we could basically handle one job from each photographer at a time, and the servers would eventually slow down the more photographers that are editing the photos. With our new app, we've also revamped our servers, so now our servers are scaling and handling multiple jobs at once. So it's our servers are completely energized and ramped up.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm personally finding that once the photos are processing, they're happening even faster than 1,000 photos in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I was just demoing the other day. I had 2 projects uploading at the same time, and by the time that project number 2 finished uploading, project number 1 was already edited. So, it was so fast. It was absolutely
You know what?
unreal.
I actually had the same thing happen. The last wedding I did, it took, I don't know, 15 minutes to upload, whatever. I don't know how much time it was. And I was going back to emails for a few minutes and I get a
Mhm.
ping that my edits are ready and I was able to download it. It was faster than it took to upload. So it's ridiculous. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah,
no,
it's
I
pretty
love
cool.
it. So everybody that's watching, I personally use Imagine AI. It's awesome. Like I use it for all of my weddings, engagement sessions. It's so easy to send them off and get them back and make a few minor tweaks. Listen, right now, for most people, you're gonna be picky. You're gonna see things. Oh, I want to tweak this. I want to tweak that. But that's why it's awesome that when you're done editing a job, you can send it back over to Imagine AI, and they'll fine tune your settings so
Yeah.
that as you continually do that in the future, it's getting better and better, and it's getting closer to the way that you actually
Yeah.
want to edit, um,
Yep.
which is fantastic. Because I know when I used an actual human to edit my images, I probably spent another 8 hours going through them afterwards. And I was like, why am I even doing this? Like, it
Yeah.
was probably easier for me to just throw a preset on everything and then fine tune it and not pay whatever I was paying. And I've used a
Yeah.
handful of companies and they're, some of them are great to work with and, they're whatever. But like having a computer do it that is learning and, like you said, taking the emotion out of it it's a game changer. Seriously, like people throw that word around, but it saves so much time. And the biggest thing for me when I first started using it was like, all
Mhm.
right, what do I have to do to get this set up? How long is it actually going to take? And we were
Yeah.
talking about this a little
Yeah.
bit off the call before we went live, just about
Right.
how, as photographers, business owners, there's so many things trying to grab our attention, and they're like, oh, save time and money here, do this and that and the other thing. It's sometimes it's a little bit overwhelming and you're like, you know what, I have a way that I'm doing things and I'm comfortable with it, and it takes something major happening sometimes or a mind shift to say, look, I'm going to take an hour or two and figure this out, and it's going to be a pain in the butt, and I'm going to have to go through all the steps to get everything I need, but the result is
Yeah.
hundreds of hours saved, whether
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
I mean, so the the part that offers some hesitance from some people, which they eventually get past, is that onboarding of I need 5,000 photos if I wanted to
Right.
learn my style, right? But like you just said, the amount of time you're saving, and even going a step further, the amount of extra money you're making
Right.
by doing this, you it pays off for itself in one job, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, if you took one day midweek out of your life and just spent that day gathering 5,000 photos that were previously edited or editing 5,000 photos, um, you know, that is going to save you countless hours after the fact.
Hmm.
So, I mean, there's tons of photographers now that are starting the idea of they're booking this wedding. In their contract, they're adding an optional add-on to charge for a faster turnaround time.
Hmm.
Whether the customer pays the extra 500 or 1,000 or $2,000 for this, guaranteed 1 to 2 week turnaround time, these photographers are still sending their photos to Imagine for editing, but they're just if they're not delivering it in 1 or 2 weeks unless the client pays extra for it.
Right.
So that's a lot of extra revenue. If it's let's say hypothetically, you paid $50 for 1,000 edits, right, at Imagine, but
Hmm.
you just charged $500 for a guaranteed turnaround time. That's $450 in profit that you wouldn't have otherwise.
For doing
So
nothing.
you save time
Yeah.
for doing absolutely nothing. So yeah.
It is crazy. Um, there's so many times where a photographer they hold on to control,
Mhm.
and they don't want to have somebody else touching their processes,
Right.
whether it's editing, whether it's calling, whether it's album design. And sometimes there are better ways. And what are some
Hmm.
situations where Imagine AI might not actually be a good fit for a photographer, if there are any?
So right now we've got basically a wide range of photography genres that we're editing on a daily basis. Obviously, the most being weddings,
Hmm.
um, or other high volume events, corporate events, things like that. But you're not going to see um, a landscape photographer send photos through that they would normally be editing one photo a week, right? Like,
Right.
and spending countless hours on one photo, getting every little nook and cranny of that photo perfect to their liking. We're not going to see that. Even people like Susan Stripling and Charmy Pina and whatnot, sure, they're sending their photos through Imagine, but when they have a wedding photo that they need to put even more effort into, like more not effort, but like more time,
Hmm.
more of a creative finalization in, they're taking what we did and then just going deeper. They're
Right.
they're adding additional vignettes they may not have done otherwise. They're adding their additional creativity to it.
The
Um,
sepia tone, of course. Yeah.
right. Yeah, of course. Yeah, they always do that.
Yeah.
Um, but like then there's real estate photographers. We have real estate photographers using us, but we don't currently do HDR. So not all real estate photographers can use us because we're not doing that part of the process.
Right.
Um, so uh, you know,
What about for like a brand new photographer who
mhm.
doesn't even know how to edit on their own yet?
So yeah, I mean that's where the talent profiles come in handy.
Right.
That's where they can literally choose from right now 10 different photographers editing styles that they want to that they like, and they can test them all for free, right? So they can test them for free and see which they like based on, let's say, this brand new photographer straight out of college, straight out of high school, whatever, photograph their friend who's trying to get into modeling, what pretty much most photographers started,
Yeah.
or they just photographed a band for the first time ever, which is how I got started. And and they don't have any idea of the editing they want to go. They go in, they say, okay, I like Charmy's profile. I'm going to try it using Charmy's, but you know what? I'm also going to try it like Michelle's and see if I like his. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. And
Hmm.
you just try it, see what
Yeah.
happens for free, and that's how you can get started with no overhead.
Yeah. So you said it's 5 cents an image normally.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
you need at least 5,000 images to get set up.
With
But
a
the more
with
with
your
your
own
own,
profile.
right.
Yes.
And the
Yep.
more you have, the better, basically.
Correct. Yeah. So 5,000 is the minimum for teaching how you edit. Uh, our talent AI profiles are built between 40,000 and I think 140,000 photos. Like each one is supplied different. Some of them are 80,000 and so on. But those are extremely accurate profiles that will produce consistency no matter what you give it.
Hmm.
So, you know, they're pretty reliable if you don't have your own style.
Yeah. So aside from all of that, tell us about
Mhm.
what's coming down the pike in the future. Like, what can we expect if photographers start using Imagine AI? Um,
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah. So, first thing, the most popular request that we get is support for local adjustments, and we are taking our time to make sure it works beautifully and consistently. We are doing it with brushes first. We're That's currently in development, by the way, and we are going to be testing that, rolling that out slowly to a group of beta testers and whatnot, and we don't believe in rushing things out. We believe in making sure it's coded perfectly, highly tested, and extremely accurate instead of saying, okay, we'll have it in a week. Because we could put it out in a week, but that's not the ideal solution.
Right.
Um, so we're taking our time to make sure it's done right. We're going to ensure that it works, and then we're going to port over what we do at brushes to radials to gradients and so on, get to all the different Lightroom local adjustments and masking so we can personalize all that for our customers. Once that At the same time, we are rolling out support for custom color profiles. So right now, if you are using, let's say, Maston Labs preset, which uses their custom color profile, or a develop, or was it archetype? I forgot what it's called, or any of these like different. I think Mike was telling me he uses Two Man, maybe, I
Okay.
believe. So like if there's a custom color profile part of that Lightroom preset that you have originally edited with, right now we don't support it. So the way we do it currently is we edit as if the profile is in place, and then all you have to do when you get your edits back is apply the custom color profile to the first photo and auto sync it across the rest.
Gotcha.
And now it's edited in the right way. So we are about to roll out in the next couple of weeks support for custom color profiles, which is really good.
Awesome.
Now that'll be in there. Also, we are working on removing what we're calling the man in the middle issue for fine tuning. So right now, if you are submitting fine tunes, which you mentioned earlier, that it keeps learning from you, right? Our software keeps learning from you,
Hmm.
just like a human would keep learning from you. And right now, when you reach the right amount of photos to for the fine tune for your profile to be updated with all those fine tuned images, you have to email support if it's not automatic, if it's not automatically triggered at the specific time of the month when our staff is actually doing that. You can actually you would email the our support and request for a push of the fine tune update.
Hmm.
So that's what we're calling the man in the middle issue. Where there's a human involved right now that is not allowing it to automate. So we actually we've staffed up. We have new developers specifically working on removing that issue right now. Um, and I think finally, what was the last thing I wanted to mention? I mentioned custom creator profiles, fine tune, local adjustments, and there was one more I wanted to mention. There's more talent profiles coming down, pretty soon. Um, there was something else that I wanted to mention. I forgot what it was, and it's not a big deal. But yeah, we got
You'll
cool stuff
remember
coming.
as soon as we end the live. You know, you'll be
Yeah,
like, "Oh,
yeah,
it
we
was
will.
this thing."
Yep, yep,
Yeah.
we definitely will.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Well, is there anything else you want to share about Imagine AI or just using new tools in general that help businesses grow?
Well, so regarding Imagine AI, I want to say, I guess, two final things is that we just launched a new app. It's out now, rolling out slowly to existing customers. Monday the 6th, it'll actually be out for everybody.
Awesome.
We are also rebranding. So you're actually first to hear that we are rebranding from Imagine AI to Imagine. And we'll have a brand new logo that'll start rolling out in July. That's really exciting. And
Awesome.
what is really useful for photographers besides from us, I will definitely say shoot with me. So, I mean, we're very fortunate that we both have created these new categories in the industry, and we're
Hmm.
both doing things that really do help photographers. And it's I can't I'm losing count at how many times a day I see people going into Facebook groups and just saying, I need a second shooter for this date, and you guys have made it so easy to to hook people up together.
Yeah.
And so yeah,
It's
very
awesome
exciting time.
being a part of a creative community of creative people. So we
Yeah.
all serve the photography industry, and I've been shooting weddings for 15 years. You're
Mhm.
a photographer. There are things that there are gaps in the workflow of photographers that are being
Mhm.
filled now that didn't exist when I was coming up. And
Yeah.
what a better time to start your photography career than now, being able
Yeah.
to edit with computer, well, obviously edit with computers, but edit with artificial intelligence,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
ways that you can run your business, awesome CRMs you can use. Shoot with me, and you
Yeah.
can use it to find and hire help
Yeah.
for jobs or get hired to fill in the gaps of your schedule. There's so many things that didn't exist years ago and now they do.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
It's
exciting time.
100%. It's never been easier to get started as an actual business in photography. Not
Yeah.
just like say I'm a photographer, but actually have a business. It's never been easier.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, hey, thank you for joining us today. It was an awesome intro to Imagine AI.
Mhm.
Guys, if you start using it, you will absolutely love it. I guarantee it, and I don't know what else to say. So,
Well,
in the notes below,
you've got a link.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I was going to
That's
say in the notes below, we'll put the link. We have special. I think it's 1,500 free edits if you use the link
Mhm.
below. It's a great way to try it out, and yeah, feel free to reach out to Scott or myself with any questions about it. I'll probably just kick you over to him, so just go right to Scott. But yeah, guys, it's fantastic. And Scott, thank you for joining us today. It was a pleasure talking to you about all this.
Thank you. It's always nice to see your familiar head.
Very good. All right, man. Take care.
See you later.